Good morning, Canada. Welcome back to another episode of Crush Period. Today is October 27th, 2025, and we are one day closer to them voting on the budget, or I guess them voting down the budget. Canada is on the verge of bankruptcy. Trump says no deal, 10% more tariffs for Canada for running illegal, manipulated ads in America about Trump's tariffs. Carney says no need to worry. Carney goes to Asia, tries to meet with Trump. Trump says, not today. We're not going to meet today. So Canada's not in a good position right now at all for trade negotiations, for anything. I mean, it's really not a good look. So we're going to be taking a look at that. We're going to be taking a look at quite a bit that's going on. There's also a hurricane that's heading for Jamaica. And that's not good either. Melissa. It's always women names, huh? Wonder why. Melissa's heading for Jamaica. And it's not good at all. So we're going to be taking a look at a lot of stuff today. And none of it is good for Canada, surprisingly. None of it is good for Canada. Although Carney did actually break his silence this morning. And we're going to be taking a look at that that questions with reporters, because he does talk about what's going on with Canada and this apparent new $1 trillion investments that he's got coming into Canada from Asia. I don't believe it, but again, Carney and the Liberals are very full of posturing, right? Here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. Down the road, further things are going to happen. I want to know how much money we've made since Mark Carney's been prime minister, right? Because Trump can easily say $30 billion. Oh, that was from the tariff shelf, right? That's something easy that a world leader can do. So how much money has Canada actually made, new money made, since Mark Carney's been prime minister? That remains to actually be answered, and that is a massive problem. But we're going to be taking a look at a lot of stuff before question period begins. All I ask, you know where I'm going with this, all I ask is for you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. It's free to do so. And without further ado, here we go. We're starting off with Hurricane Melissa, about to reach a Category 5 as it is about to hit land in Jamaica, which would make it the deadliest and most severe hurricane to have ever hit land in Jamaica. This is actually super devastating. And it's affecting so many people. Up to 40 inches of rain in the next like 2 or 3 days. I mean, we get a lot of snow in Canada. We get that much snow in Canada, but that much rain? That's insane. That's insane.
Jamaica is bracing for Hurricane Melissa, which is now a major Category 5 storm. Parts of the Caribbean island nation could get up to 100 centimeters of rain, threatening flash flooding and landslides. Jamaica's government ordered mandatory evacuations yesterday for some areas. Melissa is expected to make landfall in Jamaica on Tuesday morning as the strongest hurricane to ever hit that country. Journalist Nick Davis joins me now from Kingston, Jamaica, with more. So, Nick, thank you for joining us on this. We do appreciate your time. I'm hoping that we can start here with what the conditions are like where you are right now.
Right now, it is just slightly raining, but it's been like that for nearly 24 hours. And that's part of the pain. We know what is literally just off camera, just off the coast of Jamaica, literally inching its way across. And that's what's been so concerning. A huge giant storm, Category 5, 180 mile an hour winds coming right at us. But it's just literally taking a snail's pace. And that's what's been so concerning. But a Jamaican Prime Minister has made it very clear, Dr. Andrew Holness, that we need to take this thing very, very seriously.
All assessments of the current situation, while we pray for the best, hour by hour, it is becoming apparent that the impact of Hurricane Melissa could be greater than Hurricane Beryl, certainly in terms of rainfall and flooding. We can lessen damage and speed up recovery by taking preparatory and precautionary measures before the impact of the hurricane.
Last time that we had a storm of this impact, I was a teenager. I didn't have grey hair, I can assure you. That's how long it's been. And I think
Brutal.
for many people, even though we've had storms like Beryl just over 16 months ago, which devastated parts of Treasure Beach and an area which now seems to be, again, where this storm is likely to make land, it's been such a long time that people don't realize how devastating this could be, not only for loss of life, but also for the economic future of this country.
Some scary thoughts for sure there.
If I'm not mistaken, they've already begun evacuating a lot of the tourists, right? So people that go to the all-inclusive resorts and stuff like that, they're already being sent home because this is just so freaking bad, right? It's getting to that point where it's just so bad.
Nick, and to that end, the Jamaican government, they've issued a number of evacuation orders. So what more can you tell us about that?
Well, places like Treasure Beach is a prime example. I had a friend ring me late last night saying that she had to leave her wonderful, beautiful home because of the fact that if we're expecting 9 to 15-foot surges, that place is gone. The livelihoods of those people has gone. And so the government have made concerted efforts and basically forced people, mandatory evacuation orders to get them into shelters. Even here in Kingston, people who are homeless, people who are in low-lying fishing communities have been taken out of those communities and put into shelters at the National Arena and places like that to make sure that they stay safe, because people don't want to leave their homes. You know, their home is their castle. You know, they're also concerned about the possibility of theft after the storms, but even so, you can replace items, you can't replace lives.
Well, Nick, we do hope that you stay safe. We appreciate the update from you. Thank you for this, and we do hope that you do take good care as that storm continues to approach. Nick Davis for us.
Yeah, that's super scary, man. Very, very, very scary. And the craziest part is that it's going to be taking a hard turn out of the Caribbean, so it's not even really going to be hitting America either. It's not going to be hitting like South Florida, Miami, and stuff like that. It's just going to be going way back out at sea and heading towards Bermuda. So again, we're gonna have to wait and see how this plays out, but we're gonna know significantly more information and have significantly a better idea of how bad this really is in the next 12 hours, as is expected to hit land in Jamaica. And it won't be good. It's going to be extremely devastating. And speaking of devastating, we're now going to take a look at Prime Minister Mark Carney, who broke his silence as he takes questions about U.S. trade and says that he hasn't actually spoken to the president since the whole, fake Ronald Reagan ad was exposed to the world. Let's have a look.
Have you had any contact with President Trump since Thursday?
I have not.
Given that President Trump said today on Air Force One, I don't know if you heard this, but in the last hour, he said he doesn't plan to meet with you for a long time. Is it worth continuing to pursue a discussion, a meeting, a phone call with him at this point?
I didn't see the comment. Look, we stand ready to sit down with the United States, myself with the president, my colleagues with their colleagues, when the U.S. is ready to sit down. We had made considerable progress on a supplement to the trading relationship that we had, considerable progress in the areas of steel, aluminum, and energy associated areas as well. And as I just said, we're ready to sit down when they are ready to do that. If they're not ready to do that, as those comments indicate, then we were always going to do these things, to be clear. We're going to first and foremost build our economy, build it with generational investments, and you will see that not just the scale of the ambition, but the speed with which we put that into effect in the budget on November 4th, and continue to do what we've been doing over the course of the last few days and over the course of recent months, which is to build those other partnerships and deepen those other partnerships on which we're getting very much traction. Thank you.
Next question, Mary.
So the way Mark Carney's talking is usually how people talk before they call an election or before an election happens. Okay. We know that the Conservative Party is very likely not to support the budget because it's going to be so wildly in a deficit. We know the Bloc is not going to support the budget. They've already said we're not going to support the budget. There's not enough things in there for Quebec. This all comes down, believe it or not, to the NDP, right? So remember how we've just been held hostage for years with Justin Trudeau as our prime minister because Jagmeet Singh was on his knees doing some Trudeau begging, we'll call it. Okay. The NDP is now in that same situation, but it's actually significantly worse for the NDP now than it ever has been. So here's why the NDP could call an election. They don't support the budget. That's it. That's the only reason why the NDP would join the Conservatives in the bloc and call an election. Now, here's why the NDP wouldn't call an election. And this is very important to know, okay? So I want everyone to pay attention. The NDP lost their official party status. So they're not even a legitimate party. They're kind of like the Green Party. They're just there. The NDP has no money. So if an election happened, however many few seats the NDP has, 4 or 5, they have no money. So they would have to borrow more money, but they're already in massive amounts of debt. They probably wouldn't even be qualified for another loan because they've lost their official party status. And you only can really qualify for loans, like for political parties, when you're in official party status. So if the NDP currently has, let's just say, I forget how much they have, but if they have 5 seats, if there was an election with no money, they might walk away with 2 or 3 seats. Okay. So they're in massive debts. They don't even have a leader right now. Their leadership race is in February. So the NDP really can't afford an election, like physically with money, but they also can't afford to lose more seats. So this is the best shot that the NDP has, is holding on to, you know, whatever a little power they have right now. Like, they've got no power other than being another coalition party. Now, the thing about the coalition party stuff is that was a big Jagmeet thing. Jagmeet really wanted that coalition because he wanted his legacy to be pharmacare, dental care, and stuff like that, right? Like, contraceptives are free for Canadians now because of Jagmeet and Justin Trudeau coalitions. So are we going to see another coalition, or are we going to see an election? It literally all hinges on the NDP. And so is the NDP going to do the right thing and say, well, we don't support this budget, it is what it is, and then the Liberals are going to say, okay, well, we're doing an election? Or is the NDP going to say, well, throw us a little bone, throw us some snacks, give us the scraps, and we'll keep quiet the way that they have for the past 4 years under Justin Trudeau? It's kind of a coin toss, right? And it all comes down to that. Believe it or not, it's I don't know how this election would look, because polls came out earlier this morning and the Conservatives actually went down like 4 seats. The Liberals also went down a few seats, but the NDP is going to be completely wiped out. They're going to be decimated. So who's going to poach those seats? The Conservatives very well could poach some of those NDP seats if there were an election, but so could the Liberals. And it's all so risky right now, because if the Liberals go into an election and they walk away with another minority government, we taxpayers just wasted millions and millions of dollars, like hundreds of millions of dollars, on essentially the same or similar outcome as what we have now. So an election could happen. It's not guaranteed. It literally all hinges on the NDP and their leaderless party. We don't know who's steering the boat. We don't know. Like, they're all wild cards. Some of them could say we want an election, and 2 out of 3 could say we don't want an election. 3 out of 2 could say we do. Like, nobody knows. Nobody has those answers. It's actually a coin toss right now. That's scary, dude. It's scary that we've just dealt with 10 years of, dictatorship under Trudeau, and now we've got carny Liberal government, and it's not necessarily any better. It's also not necessarily worse. We're going to find out on November 4th how much debt we're really in with this budget. But it's a little scary. It's a little scary, man.
Hi, Prime Minister. Murray Brewster with CBC News. President Trump says he's canceled these trade talks because he's upset about the Ontario government ad. We've heard from the Business Council of Canada and even some of President Trump's own advisors who suggest the frustration with Canada runs deeper. So is this about the ads or is this about something else?
Well, look, as I say, and there were a series of very detailed, very specific, very comprehensive discussions, negotiations on the areas I just listed to in response to the previous question, up until the point of those ads running. First point. Second point, I would suggest you take the president at his word for his reason. And that is the reason why, from the perspective of the federal government, which I'm responsible, we stand ready to pick up on those discussions when the United States wishes to pick up on those discussions. So those in the room, those exchanging term sheets, those having the discussions about specific areas where we can make mutual progress to the benefit of workers and businesses and communities in our respective countries, had been making progress. Those ads came, the president had the reactions which you have seen, made the decisions that he has made, which, those are his decisions to take.
I don't know if I'm stupid, which I know, yeah, probably there's going to be a lot of people that say I am, but I have no idea what the hell he's even saying. Do you guys know what he's saying? Like, if you put a gun to my head and said, summarize what he just said, something about the ads, I feel like there's so much word salad there. My brain just starts to go on like autopilot and I start to daydream about literally anything else. I can't even tell you what I was just thinking about. I wasn't fantasizing about like what I'm going to have for dinner or sitting on the beach. Like, I don't even know what the hell I was thinking about. I have no idea what Mark Carney just said. None. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here and I'm blank in the face. I have no idea what he just said. And I feel so stupid for feeling this way. Do you guys also feel this way? 'Cause my brain is empty right now. No idea. No idea. Somebody please summarize down in the comments what the hell Mark Carney just said, so I can at least attempt to read it off the comments and seem somewhat knowledgeable. Because I have no idea. I have no idea what he just said. I'm sorry. We're all watching the same thing. Maybe we're all just like, it's like brain rot. It's like, 1 o'clock in the morning, your eyes are half closed and you're like flipping through Family Guy or something just for background noise. But I honestly have no idea what the hell our prime minister just said. And it's probably so important too. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is. We'll never know. We'll never know.
And we're in the situation we're in.
As a follow-up, Prime Minister, given everything that we've seen, do you really think the United States is interested in making a trade deal with Canada?
Look, we are their second largest trading partner. We provide a series of... Again, like, do you think that America wishes that Canada values Canada as a trading partner? It's like a yes or no question. What the hell is he talking about, dude? Again, he's losing me. Is this the point of politics? Because if it is, man, I'm screwed. Like, I don't know how I was able to ever comprehend what Justin Trudeau was saying, but I got no idea what the hell Mark Carney's saying. None. I've already forgotten what the question was, and we just heard it 10 seconds ago. That's how bad Mark Carney, or how good he is at speaking like a politician, I guess. Essential goods for their economy. We are one of many providers, but we provide in some areas essential goods for their economy. And we create more room for them to do other things. I'll give you an example. If you look at Canadian exports of aluminum to the United States, and aluminum is bauxite and energy. I mean, there's a little more to it, but you can simplify it to that. The embedded energy in the Canadian aluminum exports, which provides 60% of the aluminum to the U.S. market, is the equivalent of the energy of 10 Hoover dams in the United States. Now, is the best use of that scale of energy, creating that scale of energy to make aluminum in the United States, as opposed to continue to foster and power the AI revolution, which the U.S. is leading, or power homes and others. I mean, these are decisions for the United States to make. Point being, as a supplier to the United States, and I gave aluminum as one, I could give many examples, we are an important supplier in many areas. As well, we are a large customer. For over 30 states, Canada is the largest
I have no idea what the hell he's talking about now.
Export customer for those states in the United States. So there is a very strong, deep trading relationship, and there is an alignment of interests in many areas. And that's the reason why we have elements of the arrangements that we have today with a large degree of low tariff trade and the benefits from that.
Can we just make politics dumb again? Has it ever been dumbed down? I need it dumbed down. Maybe there's some nerds out there that love this, but I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. Wasn't he asked if Canada and America are ever going to find a deal? And he's like, oh, Canada, the size of Hoover Dam energy. Like, what the hell is he talking about? I'm so bored. I think I might fall asleep on camera, and I'd hate to do that. I really, really would. But honestly, I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. And I'm listening. I'm not distracted. The only thing in my ears is this. The only thing I'm looking at is this. And I got no idea what the hell he's talking about, dude. My mind is drifting away. I don't know. Maybe I need rum in my coffee. I don't know. But I need politics to be dumbed down again. Like yes or no questions, multiple choice. I can't do this. This is too complicated for me. I don't like this at all. I can't. I mean, dissecting this is one thing, but even just fully understanding and having the tolerance to listen to this stuff without any interruptions is insane. I'm sorry if you're looking for uninterrupted video of Mark Carney talking about whatever the hell he's talking about, but I don't think you're going to find that here because I think I'm going insane listening to this guy talk, and I need to just add my own, common sense speech on top of this because this is mental. I'm sorry, but the way this guy talks is mental.
We're ready to have those discussions to further improve them, and we'll have them when it's appropriate. But we're not resting because we can build. The return on building at home is far greater than the hit from trade turbulence with the United States. And the opportunities internationally are considerable. And candidly, Canada has not focused on the relationships to the same extent as we should have in any trading environment with the United States, let alone a situation where they're changing their trade policy. And that's what we're doing now.
Next question. Prochaine question. Judy Trin with
What the fuck did he just say? Please somebody summarize down in the comments. I'll read your comment. I got no idea. I got Hoover Dam, something. I got no idea. This guy is, by political standards, if a politician is good based off of how boring they speak, because that's how politics might be designed, is to just be so boring and or confusing for the average person to either comprehend or even be remotely interested in it, then by all standards, Trudeau was good at politicking, and I think Carney's good at politicking too. He is so good at speaking in circles and not actually answering things. He's so good at it. And I have such a problem with that because I think that your average person, and I use average person as myself, my own brain, should be interested in politics. Not even be able to comprehend it, but should just naturally be interested in politics. And the way that the conservatives are able to talk, the way that Pierre Poilievre is able to talk, the way that he gets up in question period and says, yes or no, is this true? Yes or no, is this happening? Like, that's good. We need more of that. But the way that the liberals talk, like, what the hell are they even? It's so boring. It's such a deterrence for the average person to even be interested in this. And that's a problem in Canada. And I don't know how you fix it. You got to elect a different government and different people. I don't think that you can write laws to prevent this. Maybe you can have certain things where if a politician doesn't actually answer a question, they get penalized, like financially or something. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. But whatever the hell this is, this has to change at some point, because this is mental.
CTV News. Donald Trump says he doesn't want to see you at all at APEC. Has the Canadian government given any consideration to the possibility that he doesn't want to negotiate? And do you have a contingency plan for that?
We have lots of, yes. The short answer is yes. To your follow-up, no, I'm not about to detail those contingency plans.
See? Okay, good. Right there. Like, that was a good answer. I don't like the guy, but that right there was the short answer is yes. Canada has contingency plans for all this stuff that's happening with America. That right there is like phenomenal. Like, answer every question like that with a one-liner, like one sentence, not a paragraph, not a soliloquy, not a Macbeth speech, but one sentence. Yeah, we've got contingency plans. I'm not going to tell you what they are. We're going to keep those close to our chest, but I've got contingency plans. Like, that's good. Like, good job, buddy. Like, hey, that's a step in the right direction.
But I will go to the big, obvious plan that is there in plain sight and will be further detailed in the budget on November 4th. And we have been saying this for months. I said this before I was elected. Emphasize the importance of us giving ourselves far more than any foreign government could take away, whatever the trading environment.
He's losing me again.
And that's to build at home and to build strong at home. And we intend to unleash hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of investment right here at home. Well, not right here, but metaphorically there at home in Canada while we're building these partnerships.
Less than a month ago, you were at the White House. You seemed very cordial, friendly with President Trump. The two of you were joking. You said you were going to walk away with a good deal. He said that we would be very happy. Is the U.S. toying with Canada? And how did your relationship with Donald Trump go south so fast?
Oh, it's a question for him.
Next question. Yasmin?
Hey.
Yasmin Midi.
I don't necessarily like the contents of that answer, but that's a question for him. There you go. At least he didn't go on a long-winded speech about whatever the hell he normally talks about. There you go. One-liner. One-liner. That's a question for him. Good job, buddy.
Avec Radio-Canada,
Radio-Canada. We're just going to skip through the French here.
Through detailed
Fini, c'est évident.
That's my, and the rest is clear. But the Canada's
caused all of this to be term sheets. It is true that ask a version of this so you can answer it.
I figured you might.
If it is true that a TV ad, that you were close to a deal exchanging term sheets, and a TV ad caused all of this to be canceled, halted, Trump does not want to meet, are you upset at Premier Doug Ford for running this ad? If this is true that this ad spoiled something that was very close?
Look, I'd say the following, which is that in any complicated, high-stakes negotiation, you can get unexpected twists and turns, and you have to keep your cool during those situations. It doesn't pay to be upset. Emotions don't carry you very far. And we had made progress, to repeat. And And we stand by the progress that had been made. The government of Canada does. And we are ready when appropriate to pick that up. And I'll just re-emphasize that it is the responsibility of the government of Canada to have these negotiations. And others will have opinions, and others welcome free advice, unsolicited advice is entirely appropriate. Every Canadian is a stakeholder in these negotiations. Every Canadian is a stakeholder in the fact that we're making progress in ASEAN, that we have the agreement with Indonesia, that we have just decided to accelerate trade talks with Philippines, with ASEAN as a whole. Every Canadian has...
Okay, so I'm going to cut him off right there, and you're going to thank me in a second, because the question was about Doug Ford and the ad campaign that was just launched using Ronald Reagan, right? And you might be wondering, well, Doug Ford and Mark Carney are buddies, right? Like, they're buddies. They stayed up late at night after Mark Carney won the election, and they solved world problems sitting by Doug Ford's fire. True statement by Doug Ford and confirmed by Mark Carney. So did Mark Carney know about the ad? Did Mark Carney know that Doug Ford was going to launch a Ronald Reagan misrepresentation of tariffs ad in America? So propaganda. Did our prime minister know that this was going to happen? I have the answer.
How did you talk to the prime minister about this, and what's? I mean, he was pretty measured in Malaysia today.
Sure.
About you and about this situation. But how are relations with the prime minister? Are things strained now because of what's happened?
Not at all. He saw the ad before I put it out. So did his chief of staff. They both saw it, and we moved forward on it. But again, we achieved our goal. As we say, mission accomplished. It was done. They're talking about it in the U.S., and they weren't talking about it before I put the ad on. So I'm glad that Ronald Reagan was.
Did you guys hear that? Did you hear that?
What's happened?
Not at all. He saw the ad before I put it out. So did his chief of staff.
He saw the ad before I put it out. Mark Carney approved the Ronald Reagan tariff ad that cost $75 million. It was all part of the plan. This wasn't a coinkydink. This wasn't a mistake. Mark Carney knew this was confirmed demolition. He knew that this would happen. He approved the ad right out of Doug Ford's mouth.
He saw the ad before I put it out. So did his chief of staff.
He saw the ad before I put it out, and so did his chief of staff. I think we're being taken as fools because these people know what they're doing. They've got confirmed demolition happening. They're doing this on purpose. And then they're going, oh, what? Why? What do you mean? Why would Trump react this way? We don't know what's going on. And they're trying to gaslight us. And they're trying to say, oh, Trump is overreacting to an ad and temper tantrum Trump and whatever. Bro, they knew what they were doing. Canada knew that what they were doing. The prime minister knew what they were doing. And they specifically were hoping for some form of outcome like this. Because what else would you expect? For Trump to just laugh about it? Oh, you got me. You're right. No, of course. Of course Trump would retaliate against Canada. They knew this would happen. Now, I don't understand the bigger picture as to why Canada would want to punch itself in the pee-pee, in the wiener. I don't understand. But Mark Carney knew. So yeah. That's not good. That's not good at all. Maybe it's posturing for an election because the harder Trump is on Canada, the more people are afraid and angry with Trump, and the more likely they're to vote liberal. So it's self-sabotage for the purpose of gaining something, right? Because let's be honest, like objectively, of course, I wanted the Conservatives to win in the election. I voted for Pierre, and I got a lot of people to vote for Pierre. I use all my platforms to go Pierre, go Pierre, go Pierre. But the Conservatives are not winning when it comes to fighting against Donald Trump. And this is even admitted by Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, on one of his recent podcasts, literally said that Pierre Poilievre had the election in the bag. It was good to go. Word for word. That's what Joe Rogan said. And then Trump came in and Trump handed the election to the Liberals. So that's the thing, is Trump wants the Liberals in, even though they're fighting right now. And the Liberals are good at fear-mongering against Trump, but they all get along. So this was part of the plan to make Canada more angry with Trump and say, we need to fight back. We need to fight back. Whatever the hell that even means, we need to fight back. So that if and when an election does happen in the very near future, the Liberals will have even more of a chance to win their majority government, because Trump bad, right? Trump 10% tariffs on us for an ad that only Doug Ford knew. Well, no, Doug Ford didn't only know about it. Also, Carney knew about it. This is part of a plan. It's weird, man. It's very, very weird. So what does Trump have to say about Canada? Well, let's have a look now.
Prime Minister Mark Carney likely won't get a chance to mend fences with U.S. President Donald Trump anytime soon. That is this morning's breaking news. Trump is saying again this morning that he won't meet with Carney to talk about his decision to break off trade talks. And Carney says he hasn't reached out to Trump either.
The President and I have not spoken since he took this decision. We are ready to have discussions when the Americans wish to have those discussions, but we're not, obviously we don't dictate the timing of that.
Carney faced question after question about trade talks with the U.S. as he wrapped up an international summit today in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. The questions included whether Canada should pursue talks with the White House and if Trump is even interested in making a deal with Canada. Carney and Trump will both be taking part in another international summit later this week, and Trump himself is making it clear that he will continue giving Carney the cold shoulder.
Whether it's provincial or Canada itself, they all knew exactly what the ad was. The Prime Minister knew, everybody knew. The Prime Minister knew what the ad was before it went.
Will you see him in APEC? Do you want to meet with him?
I don't want to meet with him. No, I'm not going to be meeting with him for a while. No. I'm very happy with the deal we have right now with Canada. We're going to let it ride.
That is Trump speaking to reporters on Air Force One earlier this morning. There is a lot of cabinet noise there, or cabin noise, but Trump is saying that he has no plans to meet with Prime Minister Carney at an upcoming summit this week in South Korea, and that he would, quote, let the existing deal with Canada ride. He added no new details to his threat to add another 10% to the tariffs hitting Canada. Rafi Boudjikanian is traveling with Prime Minister Carney. He tells us Carney's news conference this morning was the first time reporters have been able to ask him questions since Trump broke off trade talks with Canada on Thursday night.
We learned that Prime Minister Mark Carney himself has no idea where this additional 10% in tariff hikes could go. That was in answer to one of my questions. He said, you know, we don't know if it's auto sector. We don't know if it's agriculture. We don't know if it's steel and aluminum. We don't know if it's dairy. We have no idea. It could be a blanket 10%, nothing, but it's lingering there until it's going to be strategically used, probably to give the Liberals even more of an advantage should there be an election happening very, very soon. This is crazy. Crazy. Canada is just so wacky right now. Don't have any details on that. He also said that he has not spoken to Donald Trump since the news of the trade talks breaking off. I did note that when one of my colleagues asked, have you tried reaching out to him? Have you tried texting him, for example? Because we have been told in the past by the Prime Minister's office that he and Donald Trump tend to text. So he kind of sidestepped that aspect of the question, just focused on the fact that they have not spoken. Numerous times he said, I'm ready to resume talks when the U.S. are inclined to do so, kind of putting the ball back in the court of the United States. Earlier today, Donald Trump, on his way to Japan, Trump, of course, is also in this part of the world right now, said aboard Air Force One that he's not interested in speaking to Canada for a very long time, and that he's quite happy with the deal that Canada and the U.S. have right now. One of my colleagues asked him, how did your relationship with Donald Trump go south? Because, we've seen Mark Carney go to the Oval Office. We've seen him be quite chummy with the U.S. president. We've seen them exchange pleasantries. We've seen Trump say, Carney's a good guy, that kind of stuff. Carney kind of said, you should ask Donald Trump that question, or that's a question for Donald Trump. I'm paraphrasing him here. So I thought that was an interesting response from the Prime Minister. Of course, a lot of the emphasis for Canada during this trip is how it wants to diversify its trading partners. All of Carney's talking points before we got the questions were about his trip to Malaysia, about how he wants to reach a free trade agreement with the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, by the end of next year. He suggested, in answer to the questions about Trump, that the instability with the United States is one more reason for Canada to be reaching out.
It's all very weird right now, the instability with the United States and Canada. And the weirdest part of it all is that I think that Trump and Carney are working together. That's the craziest part. Trump likes Carney. Carney likes Trump. We've seen this. They text each other. They're good buddies. But it's all coming at the expense of you and I. And it's all very bizarre what's going on. It's very, very bizarre. And that's not the only bizarre thing. Like, the Green Party is now, well, I'm not going to quote Elizabeth May. We're just going to take a look at what Elizabeth May just said moments ago. She's got some words. She's got some fighting words. Here we go.
It's not a threat. It's a description of parliamentary process. They're a minority government. They have no right to pass a budget. We haven't read it yet. I've made it very clear to this government that I will not vote for any budget that includes fossil fuel subsidies. That's my one condition. Otherwise, I haven't read the budget yet, so I haven't decided how I'm going to vote.
Who could support this?
What's that?
Who could support this budget? Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
No one's read it yet.
But is there a world in which, let's say, there's abstentions or some people decide to not vote, for instance?
Well, who knows? The deals are done all the time between political parties that have a minority of the seats in Parliament. Budgets passed in minority parliaments. The last since, certainly since the 2019 election, we were in a minority parliament. Every year's budget passed. We know that there was a specific confidence and supply agreement between the Liberals and the New Democrats, but there's often different dancing partners and different negotiations take place. They haven't had to negotiate with me. I'm one vote, but they know that I will not vote for a budget that includes fossil fuel subsidies. So it makes it easier for them to say, well, we'll get that one vote from the Greens if we make sure we're not subsidizing fossil fuels, which was a promise that, after all, Stephen Harper made in 2009, that Justin Trudeau made in 2015. I don't think it should be too hard for Mark Carney in 2025.
What do you make of Government House Leader Steve McKinnon?
So it doesn't sound like the Green Party, Elizabeth May, with her one seat, is going to be voting for the budget. So we've got the bloc that's saying, no, we're not going to vote for the budget. We're not going to support the budget. There's not enough for Quebec. We've got Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, who I'm only going to assume are not going to vote for the budget. If they did, I mean, I would be completely blown away. So and Elizabeth May is now saying that she's probably not going to vote for the budget. If there is, it could be 99% things that she agrees with, but there could be the one thing that if there's anything that's pro oil and gas in there, she wants nothing to do with, and she'll vote it down. So this all stems now on the NDP. Again, just like Trudeau, right? Just like Justin Trudeau, we're having a Liberal and NDP potential coalition. Oh, my goodness.
Called out the Conservatives and the Bloc, but he's been he hasn't said anything about the NDP. What do you think about the NDP supporting the budget and being the only party to support it?
Well, I think that's up to the New Democrats. Again, it's very hard to answer questions about a document we haven't read yet. So far, every horrible thing that's happened to me as a Green since Mark Carney became Prime Minister has been decisions of the Liberals with the complete support of the Conservatives. So I don't know which way the government will turn for support for the budget, because I don't know what's in the budget, and I don't think anyone does. And I have to hope for the best. I really hope for the best.
Would you be prepared to go to an election before the holidays?
I'm not prepared to betray my granddaughter's future by voting for fossil fuel subsidies, no matter the cost in terms of politics. Some things are more important than politics, and my granddaughter's future is top of my list.
Do you have any concerns about hearing the government House leaders say?
So that would probably include a pipeline. So if there's anything that's pro-pipeline in the budget, Elizabeth May is saying, you know what, I can only assume hippie granddaughter, if she's the granddaughter or related to Elizabeth May, and that's not a derogatory sense. I consider myself a hippie. I lived in a van for 5 years, but I have a little bit more logic, it seems, for Canada and the prosperity of Canada in terms of making money than what Elizabeth May does. Pipeline and oil and gas is not bad. Okay. It's actually very good. And it's what we're sitting on. We've been dealt a set of cards where we were born geographically. We could have been born in Saudi Arabia. We could have been born in Africa, but we were born in Canada, and Canada has land already established. And underneath that land, there's some goodies. Now, most countries have their own set of goodies. Canada's goodies is oil and gas. That's right. We got a lot of it. We got a lot of goodies sitting under our land. Just so happens that we were born here. Now we can choose to actually use it and make like a shit ton of money and become like a very wealthy country, or we can keep doing what we're doing, which is becoming a poorer country. I don't know, man. If you had the choice between being rich and poor, I think most people would choose being rich. All these politicians have chosen rich. Look at their pensions, right? No matter what they say, they're all getting paid insane amount of money with insane subsidies, with insane perks, and they're deciding our futures. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's bananas. Elizabeth May could, my goodness. There's something going on with the green hippy dippy mindset these days. The plague.
That they're willing to go to an election?
I don't think they have a choice. People should refresh memories. I know it was a long time ago, but the 1979 budget fell, and it famously fell, as they say, because the Conservatives couldn't count. But Joe Clark went to a budget vote. I just recently saw a play called 1979 that's quite brilliant about that vote. But nobody threatened we're going to go to an election if you don't pass our budget. That's what happens. If you fail on a confidence vote, the government falls. Now, there's other things that can happen in a minority parliament, even if the government falls. You can negotiate a confidence supply agreement to avoid an election. There's things that happen. We're in a minority parliament. There is no one all-powerful player here. We have to work together. That's a good thing for democracy. So I hope that and even after a budget is presented, there can be amendments to a budget. Don't forget these things. So we can work together, I hope. If the budget is presented.
Yeah, she talked about watching a play as she's talking about the budget. You know, I just saw Les Miserables, and I feel like I understand the state of Canada more than ever. I feel like everybody in Canada is miserables. What the fuck? I just saw a theater play, and I'm going to relate that to multi-billion-dollar deficit budget. You can't make this up. You can't make this up, man. This is so funny. Oh, my God. Because if you're not laughing, you're crying. I'll tell you that. If you're not laughing, you're crying.
Has a poison pill that means one or more parties can't vote for it. The government has the option of taking that out and representing a budget that they think they can get through. We're in Parliament, and it's not so much threats, it's reality. And if they don't have the votes, they shouldn't go to a vote until they have the votes. And that involves negotiation and compromise.
Another subject. I know we spoke to Minister Hodgson this morning, and he said any talk of a pipeline on the West Coast is hypothetical. What do you make of this?
Well, there's no proposal from any private sector investor. No private sector investor could make its money back. It's absurd to throw money at nuclear reactors, which the government apparently will throw $2 billion at a project that'll never, but unlikely to ever generate a kilowatt of electricity, but never mind. Some projects seem to attract attract money. I think we need to examine all government expenditures for value for money, and we need to examine all of what we do as a country with a lens for our future generations and what does this mean for climate. But certainly anything would be hypothetical when it's not proposed.
The government has been pushing for a pipeline. Mr. Hodgson said he was ready to work to try to attract private investors. So are they stuck between a rock and a hard place right now? Because
I think talk to
America's
investors.
going to end up funding that pipeline.
The global money isn't going to pipelines. It's going to renewables. No matter what Danielle Smith says, and no matter how much she's prepared to lose money in Alberta, canceling private sector investments in renewables, the future is in renewables, not fossil fuels.
Oh, look at that face.
So much.
Thank you, merci.
Thank you, merci. You know what's so funny is that Elizabeth May is the Green Party, and she's out in Salt Spring. I think that's her riding, which is out on Vancouver Island, on an island off of an island. And the only way off of that island, there's no bridge, right? The only way is there's two ways. You can fly a plane. It's not electric. Or you can take a ferry, BC Ferries. That's also not electric. So even if Elizabeth May drives an all-electric vehicle, which I would be very curious to know if she does drive an all-electric vehicle, she's still very much contributing to the whole fossil fuel narrative, which she would vote against. She would block Canada from having a pipeline if she could, because she doesn't want her granddaughter to live in a world where Canada has any reliance at all on pipelines. It's very hypocritical. You see, like, this is a part of politics that starts to get very weird. Is that you're saying, no, you can't do these things. You can't do those things. But once the cameras are off, they do those things. You remember, like, the masks, right? Sometimes during the COOF, right, they would tell us, you got to 6 feet distance, you got to have the mask. And then the cameras would be rolling before or after, and they would all take their masks off and be talking like face to face and whatever. Like, it's all for show. It's all for show. Elizabeth May uses fossil fuels, whether she likes it or not, very much so. Some of the products, most of the products she buys, if not all the products she buys, are delivered via fossil fuels. So if you're really going to try to posture yourself as the almighty, like almost like a Christ, like a new age Christ that has zero wrongdoings, no sins, then you better be able to back that shit up. Because if you're guilty of using fossil fuels, but then you're somehow against fossil fuels, you're a hypocritical asshole who's posturing and trying to push a narrative that is literally destroying our country. And you don't even fully believe in it, or else you would go out of your way to make sure that you had nothing to do ever with any fossil fuels ever at all. Ever. But that's not the case. Sorry, but that's just how I feel about it. Either you're a part of the problem, or you're going out of your way to literally be, one out of a million type of people that can somehow hack the system and not like escape it, right? And not be a part of the fossil fuel problem at all, or whatever you want to call it. It's just bizarre. But anyways, that's my opinion. I'd love to know yours. Next up, we're going to take a look at question period. It's about to begin. All I ask is for you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. This is going to be great. Pierre Poilievre is going to be hammering the Liberals, and it's going to be fun. So let's have some fun. Let's have a good time. And yeah, smash that like button, folks. And subscribe. Here we go.
Through the Women's Entrepreneurship Strategy to support over 400,000 women in launching and scaling up their business. On this side of the House, we invest in women's safety. We contributed over $539 million through the National Action Plan to end gender-based violence, to better protect women and end the cycle of violence. And on this side of the House, we invest in women's leadership. Women make up 40% of our Liberal team in Parliament, and we have the largest women's caucus in Canadian history. We know that when we invest in women, Canada thrives.
Bravo! Oral questions.
Oral questions. Question honorable leader of the opposition, Pierre Poilievre.
Canada. Food Banks Canada has published its report on 2025, their final report, and they report 100% increase in the number of people needing food bank assistance since the Liberals took power. Last year, 39% experienced food insecurity, 53% skipped meals, 34% spent a whole day without eating, and 82% of households were not able to get enough food because of the Liberals' inflationist prices. How many more meals are Canadians going to miss because of this Prime Minister's upcoming budget? The Honourable Government House Leader. Food Banks Canada
He put a Canadian
reports
pin on
on
'cause Pierre
four
had one
main
on.
factors to help solve the hunger problem in Canada. It's a lasting problem, and it requires a huge battle to overcome. There are people with disabilities, there's health, there's dental care, there's food school programs, and the National Housing Strategy. Those are all programs that they voted against that will help. And they've voted against every initiative we've undertaken to support the disadvantaged. The Honourable Opposition Leader. Food Banks Canada, I'll paraphrase what they said, that it took decades to get 1 million people in the lineup for a food bank, but only 5 years to get up to 2 million clients in the lineup. So after 10 years of Liberal rule, there are now 700,000 children using food banks. The Liberal programs just feed bureaucracy, not children. Are they going to force Canadians to sacrifice even more now? The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know that Canadians are dealing with challenges, and that's why the government is investing in Canadian families to help them get ahead. Thanks to the school food program, which we are making permanent, we will alleviate some of the pressures on Canadian families, also through dental care, our child care program, and the Canada Child Benefit. These are essential measures to ease the pressure on Canadian families. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Released its report today, Hunger Count 2025, showing the number of Canadians relying on a food bank has more than doubled since this Liberal government took office. It shows that 39% of the population experienced food insecurity, 82% did not have enough to eat, 34% went an entire day without eating, 53% missed a meal to afford something else, 28% went hungry at least once a week. Now the Prime Minister says Canadians will have to make even more sacrifices. How many meals will Canadians have to sacrifice for yet another costly Liberal budget?
There you go. The budget's going to hurt so many Canadians.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition is good at throwing all of this stuff out. What he's not good at is reading what the groups on the ground actually have to say. Of course there are too many people living in poverty in Canada, but there are significant initiatives being put in place by this government, opposed by this Leader of the Opposition and his party, systematically evoked in the report from Food Banks Canada today, Mr. Speaker. We support these key assistance programs for Canadians. He votes against them and then dares to get up and criticize us for putting in place support for the weakest Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, their programs do not feed kids. They feed bureaucracy, consultants, lobbyists, and Liberal insiders. And if you want to question that, 700,000 kids are lined up at food banks every single month. And let me quote from the report. It took decades to reach 1 million visits in any month, and it has now taken half a decade to more than double that. These are not outliers. This is Canada's new normal. The more government spends, the more things cost. How many meals will Canadian kids have to sacrifice for yet another costly Liberal budget?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Canada's largest food bank in Toronto, the Daily Bread Food Bank, is asking that the National School Food Program be made permanent through legislation. And we are delivering this. They're asking because the program helps provide nutritious meals to 400,000 children at school. The Conservative Party voted against this. The members opposite will soon have an opportunity to do the right thing for their constituents and make school food permanent.
Just trying to gaslight people.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Speaker, these Liberal programs feed bureaucracy, lobbyists, consultants, and insiders, but they don't feed kids. Children cannot eat Liberal press releases or Liberal photo ops. Mothers cannot fill shopping carts with Liberal boasting. Canadians need food, and right now, after 10 years of this Liberal government, there's now 2.2 million Canadians lined up at food banks. 700,000 of them are kids, and a third are in families where they work, but their paychecks are vaporized by Liberal taxes and inflation. How many meals will Canadians have to sacrifice for the next costly Liberal?
Throw some W's down in the chat for Pierre. That was good.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, the Leader of the Opposition seems to flat out ignore the fact that this government is focused on affordability. We are focused on affordable housing, which the reports outline as a critical driver for affordable food. We are taking action, Mr. Speaker. We look at the trajectory we are on right now. Mortgage rates are coming down. Average rents are coming down, according to the Parliamentary Budget Office. We're seeing progress, but we're not stopping there, Mr. Speaker. Build Canada homes will be in this budget. $13 billion that this opposition can vote for affordable housing in.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Their focus is affordability. Mr. Speaker, here are the facts from the Hunger Count report. 78% of food banks had to buy more food than normal because they were running out and not collecting enough donations. 1/4 of food banks actually ran out of food while there are still people lined up waiting for something to eat. We now have nearly a third of Canadians who go hungry at least once a week. This sounds like something out of a Great Depression, and the Prime Minister has the audacity to say Canadians should sacrifice even more. How many meals will his costly budget force Canadians to sacrifice?
Yeah, all of them, man. Even the food banks are saying there's a problem.
Mr. Speaker, I take it by the question of the Leader of the Official Opposition that he will support Budget 2025, where we make the school food program permanent, where we double down on jobs for young Canadians, where we invest in skills training for the skilled trades professionals of the future. Mr. Speaker, I just announced that in the budget, personal support workers will receive a tax credit of $1,100 a year. Mr. Speaker, we are putting money and support in the hands of Canadians, and that's why they trust us, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Saint Jean. Mr. Speaker, just this past weekend, the government blamed the opposition, complaining that there was a lack of support to get the budget passed. But just a friendly reminder, the people elected a minority government. That means the people wanted the government to work with the opposition to come to agreements. The government can come to agreements with the Conservatives or with us or with independent members. So instead of complaining and threatening elections, when are they going to get down to work? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, of all the criticisms you could make about this government not working, I think not getting down to work is one of the furthest fetched criticisms. Now, there are 44 Quebec members elected on this side of the House who are working pretty darn hard, Mr. Speaker, for their communities and for people in their ridings and to meet the real needs out there in Quebec. The Bloc, it seems to me, is a bit slow to realize this with their 22 members. Yes, the Bloc is a minority. The Honourable Member for Saint Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals don't even know what it means to work together for the common good. What they're saying is vote for our budget, even though we have completely ignored Quebecers' needs. And then they're surprised when we tell them they need to get back to work. We're 1 week before November 4th. The Liberals are well aware of our demands around healthcare, seniors, housing, access to home ownership, infrastructure, and the reimbursement of the $800 million stolen from Quebecers. The real question is, do they want our support? The Honourable Minister of Diversity and Canadian Culture. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I think I'll call for your assistance because we're having a lot of trouble understanding the Bloc's position. There was a meeting between the Prime Minister and the Bloc and the House Leader and the Finance Minister and myself. And they presented all their demands, and now they're saying they're not going to vote for the budget. So are they willing to negotiate? If so, we are too. But if they're not willing, you can't sit in the middle of two chairs like that. You can't have your cake and eat it too. The Honourable Member for Mirabel. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals met with party leaders about the budget when the budget had already been written. They didn't talk to Quebecers either. There were no pre-budget consultations. No witnesses were heard in committee. After a year and a half without a budget, the Liberals worked on their own without even meeting a single stakeholder from Quebec's socioeconomic communities. And then they're surprised when we tell them they're not meeting the needs of Quebecers. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals know what they need to do to get our support. The real question is, do they really want their budget to pass? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, Canadians elected a new government 6 months ago. A government with a mandate to undertake major projects in Quebec and outside Quebec to work on the needs of our communities and to move ahead with projects that will create opportunities for our young people all across Quebec and Canada. Mr. Speaker, the question is, will the Bloc trigger an election at Christmas in 2025? Yes or no?
Member for Thornhill.
The Daily Bread Food Bank and the North York Food Bank in Toronto just released their annual report. It's called Who's Hungry, and it seems like the answer to that question is nearly everyone. 2.2 million visits in a single month. It took decades to hit 1 million, and only half a decade under these Liberals to double it to more than 2 million. They found that 82% of households report they didn't have enough food to eat in this year. The majority said it was because of the cost of living. Every dollar that the government spends simply drives up food prices. It's over 4 million visits in Toronto. How many more people do they want visiting next year?
Yeah, the Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, this government has taken and continues to take real action that supports the people of Canada. We have instituted the National Food Program. We have instituted the Canadian Dental Care Program. We have instituted a number of things that help Canadians, whereas the Conservatives can't be trusted to help anyone. They use this as a speaking point instead of really caring about Canadians and whether or not they have the resources they need. These programs help seniors. They help seniors across the country and ensure that they have what they need to retire with dignity, where the Conservatives push the retirement age higher.
That's a horrible. The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Speaker, if any one of those programs worked, there wouldn't be over 700,000 kids in line at a food bank. Make food cheaper. Instead, they doubled the deficit, and they sent food bank usage up 360% in 5 years in Toronto. Students make up a quarter of those visits to food bank, and just last week, the Prime Minister lectured them all about making sacrifices. Well, they've already sacrificed home ownership, they've sacrificed good-paying jobs, and now he's asking them to sacrifice food. What will it take for the Prime Minister to make them, or what sacrifices will they need to make to stop this Prime Minister from his out-of-control spending?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The report invoked also clearly states that to tackle these challenges, we need to strengthen supports to families. It specifically mentions delivering school food, dental care, childcare, and affordable housing at scale. Conservative MPs have voted against each of these measures. In fact, Conservative MP for Central Newfoundland called the National School Food Program garbage, even though it's already feeding 4,000 kids in his home province. We are focused on solutions and on delivering for Canadian families.
What a crop.
Honourable Member for Hastings, Lennox, and Addington, Tyendinaga.
Food banks were meant for emergencies, not
everyday survival. Yet more Canadians rely on them each month just to eat. Families are working harder but falling further behind as groceries soar and paychecks shrink. This isn't about generosity, Mr. Speaker. It's about failure.
Right.
As Food Banks Canada CEO Kristen Beardsley warns, there were 2.2 million food bank visits in a single month. The longer they ignore the reality on the ground, the deeper the crisis becomes. Mr. Speaker, when will this Liberal government realize their inflationary deficits are driving Canadians to the food bank?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, I assume the member of Parliament opposite was listening to my colleague when she was quoting Canada Food Banks about what needs to happen next, which is making the school nutrition program permanent, Mr. Speaker, investing in affordable houses, Mr. Speaker, ensuring that people have the supports that they need to live a comfortable life, Mr. Speaker, including affordable child care and dental care. And, Mr. Speaker, that's what we're going to do, and we sure hope they don't vote against Canadians again.
Oh, stop with your posturing.
Hastings, Lennox, and Addington, Tyendinaga.
We keep sounding the alarm, but it feels like no one on that side is listening, Mr. Speaker. Families are stretched thin and communities are breaking under the weight of rising costs. One food bank executive said it plainly: housing and food costs are the greatest contributors to the increase in our services. Costs for basic living continues to rise while the money coming in does not. When will this government finally hear the voices of Canadians and stop letting hidden taxes, packaging taxes, and the industrial carbon tax drive families to the food bank?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, well, again, the member opposite did connect the dots between housing costs and food costs, and that's why this government is so laser focused on affordable housing. And we are seeing action on this. We're seeing progress to date. We've seen average rents come down across Canada. We're seeing mortgage rates come down. We're seeing home prices come down to make life more affordable. We're cutting taxes for 22 million Canadians and first-time home buyers. All of those measures are delivering results, and we aren't stopping there, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Quebec-Mactaquac.
Mr. Speaker, Food Banks Canada reports 2.2 million visits in a single month, double what it was just 6 years ago. Their CEO says poverty and hunger have become the new normal in Canada. Working Canadians, from construction crews to office staff, are having to stop by food banks on their way home from work. In rural Canada, where food and fuel already cost more and jobs are often seasonal, families are being hit hardest. When will the Prime Minister admit his inflationary deficits are driving Canadians to food banks instead of grocery stores and change course?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, it's hard to listen to the party opposite talk about affordability when they voted against every single affordability measure this government has put forward. Whether it's the Canada Child Benefit, whether it's daycare, whether it's the school food program, which is not garbage, whether it's housing. Mr. Speaker, we're focused on making affordability for Canadians. We're cutting taxes for 22 million Canadians. We're cutting the GST for first-time homebuyers. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we believe in supporting the most vulnerable in our society. They don't. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable-Lotbinière. Montreal is going hungry. That's what La Presse says. It's a gloomy picture of the state of finances of Canadian families after 10 years of Liberal rule.
You guys got to show a little bit more enthusiasm.
600,000 people in Quebec depend on food banks, and all across Canada, it's over 2 million people per month using food banks. The trend accelerated after 10 years of inflationary Liberal spending. 33% are children. It's almost 2 times as many. Is the Prime Minister going to call on Canadians to make even more sacrifices?
He's clapping.
The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Food inflation is a global phenomenon which is much more complex than the simplistic slogans of the Conservatives. The big difference between them and us is that here on this side, we believe governments should provide support against inflation to help the middle and lower class families. And that's what we're doing with our school food program, with dental care, with child care. And this is going to make a significant difference in the lives of Quebecers. The Conservatives, last week, one of them said it was garbage. That's the difference between Conservatives and Liberals. The honourable member for Mégantic-L'Érable-Lobinière. Mr. Speaker, that government claims that they're supporting against inflation, but they're actually creating inflation. And that's why Food Banks Canada's final report for 2025 says that this has become the new normal in Canada, to go to the food bank under this Liberal government. 25% of users have jobs, 8% are seniors, 23% are dual-parent families. What's the Prime Minister waiting for? When's he going to stop the inflationary spending that's pushing more and more Canadians to the food banks? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This report clearly indicates that in order to meet the challenge, we need to strengthen our support to families. And the Conservatives have opposed every step we've taken to support Canadian families. And in fact, the Conservative member called the program, the food school program, called it garbage. One Conservative member said that. And even though Food Banks is calling for us to make it permanent, which we will do, we will continue to support Canadian families. The honourable member for Jonquière. Mr. Speaker, on Saturday, Donald Trump announced an additional 10% tariff for our forestry industry. That's in addition to the 10% we've already been paying since October 14th, and 35% countervailing duties that already existed. So that's 55% in tariffs and duties. It's clear Washington wants to crush our industry. We need a rescue plan, including financial support and wage supports to protect jobs. And we need that now. 55%, Mr. Speaker. What more is it going to take for this government to act? The Honourable Minister responsible for Canada-US trade. Mr. Speaker, obviously the government is still open to resuming our trade talks with the Americans, but our colleague referred to certain increases, potential increases to tariffs. I think we need to be careful. Before that's made official, we shouldn't jump to the conclusion that a certain amount of tariffs will be imposed. But we do fully share the members' concern about the future for workers and for the forestry industry. As we are also concerned about other industries, we will continue to support those workers and industries. The honourable member for Jonquière. Mr. Speaker, talk is one thing, action is another. The forestry was already at a breaking point before the announcement of new tariffs on Saturday. It's the hardest hit industry by Washington.
This is boring as shit. So for anyone who's interested, Doug Ford in Ontario, right now while this is streaming, he's changing the election years. So instead of an election happening every 4 years in Ontario, it's now going to happen every 5 years in Ontario. By the way, for those who are falling asleep, because I feel like I'm falling asleep right now during this question period.
When will the Liberals take action to help our forestry industry? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Mr. Speaker, we are activated. We're willing to work with my colleague, who I know has a number of forestry companies in his riding. Financial support is available through the banks, and it's guaranteed by BDC. The system is working, and some benefits have already been paid out. So we are in solutions mode. That said, we know there's more to be done, and we know we have to support the industry and the workers, and we will.
Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Under these Liberals, food prices have gone bananas. They're so bad that 1 in 5 food bank users works full-time. Even people working full-time cannot afford to eat in Canada. Now food banks are feeling the crunch, jammed with 2.2 million visits in a single month, and the Liberals think Canada is ripe for more inflationary spending, rubbing salt on the wounds. When will Liberals stop squashing workers with their inflationary spending and realize that it's time to reverse course?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Food bank
Banks Canada has highlighted the importance of federal government action that is helping Canadians, like the National School Food Program and like the Canadian Dental Care Program. This is helping more than 2 million seniors. We're building an economy that works for everyone. Conservatives have a record of pushing the retirement age higher, cutting benefits, leaving seniors behind. Not again, Mr. Speaker. The Canadian public trusts us, not them. That's why, while they're voting against every measure for Canadians, we're empowering older Canadians and protecting not only their dignity, but their peace of mind.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, these Liberals love to talk about political food programs instead of affordable food. That was the question. Before liberal inflationary spending and hidden food taxes, Canadians could actually afford to feed themselves. Parents don't want the state parenting their children for them. Parents want the government to eliminate food taxes and stop inflationary spending so they can afford to feed their kids themselves. The Liberal fuel standard, food packaging tax, industrial carbon tax, inflationary spending. Speaker, when will it end?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
A few things that I think need to be cleared up here, Mr. Speaker. They talk about these imaginary taxes. I think the member needs to come clean. There is no tax on groceries. There never will be a tax on groceries. That is pretty clear. They talk about imaginary programs. I assure the member that he has voted against some very real programs, Mr. Speaker. Very real programs for school food, for dental care, and many other things that are for the most vulnerable in society. The last thing, though, what is inflationary spending when it comes to supporting Canadians? Canadians want to know, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Calgary East.
Every dollar this Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians through higher prices and food inflation. It took decades for food banks to have 1 million food bank users every month. It took the Liberals just 6 months to double that number. This Prime Minister said bet. He's going to double the deficit and make more than 2.2 million Canadians visit a food bank in a single month. When will these guys realize that inflationary deficits are driving up food costs and driving more Canadians into food banks?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
You know, when the Prime Minister said that it's time for Canada to bet big, he meant bet big on Canadians, and that's something these guys don't understand. They refuse to invest in Canadians, Mr. Speaker. Today I announced that in Budget 2025, $75 million will go to building trades unions to make sure that kids and young people can get great jobs in the skilled trades. These are good-paying jobs, Mr. Speaker. That's what it looks like to bet on Canadians. That's what it looks like to have the backs of Canadians.
Well done. The honourable member for Calgary East.
If programs like that actually worked and didn't feed bureaucracy, then 700,000 kids wouldn't be visiting a food bank every single month. And their Liberal deficits are what are making the food go up in cost. That's why grocery inflation is up 4%. People who used to donate and that used to volunteer at food banks are now standing in line for food at those food banks. Why won't these Liberals stop feeding their egos, stop feeding their bloated bureaucracy, so Canadians can finally afford to feed themselves?
That's a good one. Put some W's down in the chat for that. That was good.
So which is it, Mr. Speaker? They're either about empowering Canadians through good-paying jobs or empowering Canadians through the kinds of programs like the school food program. We believe in both, Mr. Speaker, because we're betting on Canadians. We're betting on both their resiliency and their ability to get those great-paying jobs as we create those projects across the country. This member opposite, Mr. Speaker, he doesn't want to invest in Canadians either to support them now or to help them have better futures. So which is it? Which is it that he's asking for? To cut services for Canadians or invest in them? We're going to do both. We're going to make sure Canadians have.
The honourable member for Saskatoon University.
Hardworking Canadians spend all day at work, and on the way home, they are not stopping at grocery stores. It's food banks. For millions of working Canadians, they have to go to the food banks because they can't afford the hidden Liberal food taxes like the industrial carbon tax and the food packaging tax. Food Banks Canada reports a record-smashing 2.2 million visits in a single month. And donations, well, they're down because Canadians are broke. When will these out-of-touch Liberals admit to driving up the cost of food and driving Canadians to the food bank?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Northern.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. After 10 years of Conservative MPs coming to Ottawa, collectively 14 of them coming, that's 140 years years. And that's the first question we got from a Saskatchewan perspective, Mr. Speaker. In my riding, Saskatchewan is finally here on the government side. We're going to address housing, Mr. Speaker. We're going to address the cost of living, and I'm glad finally the Conservatives from Saskatchewan finally woke up.
But he didn't even answer the question. He just said how happy he is to be there.
Mr. Speaker, constituents of my riding of Avalon and the good people of Newfoundland and Labrador were shocked
this is such a
to hear the
joke.
Conservative member of Central Newfoundland say that the Healthy Meals program, which feeds 4,100, yes, 4,100 or more kids at schools in our province, was garbage. In reality, hundreds of thousands of additional children across are being fed at schools across Canada thanks to this government. But I guess it is easier to say you're going to cut a program if you try to make yourself believe that it doesn't exist. Can the Secretary of State please inform my constituents how the National Food Program...
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague from Avalon for his question. In fact, Sarah from Central Newfoundland reached out to tell me about the National School Food Program at their school after her members' comments last week. And I quote, she said, "It's wonderful. More students are getting healthy lunches, and the lunch lady went from part-time to full-time. Plus, they hired 2 nans as part-time. Employment in his area." Mr. Speaker, there are countless examples like this across Canada of kids getting meals thanks to the National School Food Program. We will always be there.
Well, yeah, but of course it's somewhat working for some people, but it'd be better if you made food cheaper.
Children are going hungry in Canada due to Liberal mismanagement. Every dollar this Liberal Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadian families through higher prices and food inflation. A third of Canadian children now live in a food-insecure household. Food Banks Canada reports record-breaking food bank use with 2.2 million visits in a single month, and over 700,000 of those visits are children. When will the Liberals realize that their inflationary deficits are driving up the cost of food banks and driving Canadian children to the food bank?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we are committed to growing the strongest economy in the G7 and protecting and strengthening the supports that help Canadian families. The report that is being highlighted here, again, I would say that the relief that families get through the school food program, dental care, child care, these are all things that report cites as critical to addressing the challenges that Canadians are facing right now. This government will always stand with Canadian families. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What about holidays?
The Honourable Member for Fort McMurray, Cold Lake.
If a single one of those projects and programs actually worked, there wouldn't be 700,000 children waiting in food bank lines every single month. This is not okay, and yet somehow the Liberals have normalized this. 9 out of 10 kids aren't even fed by the school food program, Mr. Speaker. When will the Liberals realize their inflationary deficits and hidden food taxes are making food more expensive and driving Canadian children to food banks?
That's brutal. I don't recognize Canada anymore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No child in this country should go to school hungry. This is why our government brought forward the National School Food Program, and that is why this new government has committed to making this program permanent and introducing legislation to do so, as well as the funding necessary to ensure this program continues in perpetuity. This is an essential piece of tackling the challenges that Canadian families are facing. We are proud of this program. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Battleford, Lloydminster, Middle Lake.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians through higher prices and food inflation. Food Banks Canada is reporting 2.2 million visits in a single month. This is double what it was just 6 years ago. Even more alarming, 1 in 3 of those visits is by a child. Their CEO says parents are stopping in at the food bank on the way home from work, not the grocery store. When will this Prime Minister finally admit his because inflationary spending and deficits are driving parents to the food banks.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, years ago, Food Secure Canada did an analysis of all the issues in the food system. Do you know what issue was the most popular among Canadians? Feeding kids. It's instinctual for any parent, but the desire to feed kids extends almost universally to all Canadians, except when it comes to the Conservatives. They've taken the most unpopular position. They actually oppose a national school food program. Their usual excuse is to claim that there's no food in the food program, but last week they actually had the gall to call the food program garbage. Who does that? Who says that, Mr. Speaker?
What about breakfast? What about dinner? What about weekends? What about holidays? It's a Band-Aid on a friggin' bullet wound.
Mr. Speaker, if these programs actually fed the children that the Liberals are claiming they feed, there wouldn't be 750,000 plus children lined up at the food banks every month.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, it's the hidden taxes like the fuel standard, the food packaging tax, the industrial carbon tax, and rising inflation that are making it harder for families at the grocery checkout. Grocery prices are up 4% overall, with ground beef up 17%, coffee up 28%, soup is up 9%, and those numbers, Mr. Speaker, translate to record numbers of Canadians turning to the food banks to feed their families. When will this
Oh, she's pissed.
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, while our government invests in feeding 400,000 more kids healthy food in schools, the Conservatives call that garbage. While our government works to expedite major infrastructure projects creating tens of thousands of jobs, the Conservative leader calls them pathetic. While our government gives law enforcement the tools they need to keep our communities safe, the Conservative leader calls the RCMP despicable. The pattern is clear. The Conservatives will disparage people, projects, and programs that help Canadians while we continue to deliver for them.
The Honourable Member for King Vaughan.
People that built this country and taught us the value of hard work while managing our budgets are having to line up at the food bank. Food Banks Canada reports that almost 10% of food bank users are seniors, up 22% from 2019. This Liberal government's reckless spending has driven up prices and left our seniors behind. When will this Liberal government respect our seniors and stop the inflationary spending so that they can live their retirement years in dignity?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
This government is the only party in this House that can be trusted to have seniors' backs. We returned the age of retirement to 65 when those folks wanted to push it up to 67. Through this government's actions, we are ensuring that Canadian seniors have access to one of the largest social programs in the country, and that is the Old Age Security and Guaranteed Income Supplement. Through that, we are ensuring, Mr. Speaker, that folks have up to $1,086 per month for the most financially vulnerable seniors. It is things like this that ensure seniors have...
The Honourable Member for Markham Unionville.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians through higher prices and through food inflation. Monthly visits to food banks have doubled since 2019, with 2.2 million visits per month. Nearly 10% of food bank users are now seniors. This is up 22%. This reliance on food banks has to become an ongoing necessity to survive. Mr. Speaker, when will the Liberals realize that their inflationary deficits are driving up the cost of food and driving Canadians to the food bank?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Speaker, I think we've covered quite a bit in this question period, but let me remind the opposition that today I was with the SEIU, who represents personal support workers across this country. These incredible, hardworking people who support our family members, our seniors every day. Under Budget 2025, it proposes that they will receive a tax credit, a non-refundable tax credit worth $1,100 a year, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. And I'll end with this. This is money in the pockets of these workers. I sure hope they're going to support the budget.
The Honourable Member for Richmond North Athabasca. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this morning, a baby abandoned in a bus shelter died. It's indescribably sad, and I'm sure that all of my colleagues here in this House join me in hoping that that baby rests in peace. How much must somebody suffer to come to that situation? People are suffering. People are having a hard time getting housing. People are having a hard time getting food. People are losing their jobs.
Dude, I wasn't ready for that.
Canadians are suffering, Mr. Speaker. Are the Liberals aware of the consequences of their poor management? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think I speak on behalf of all colleagues when we send our sympathy to this tragedy which has affected all of Quebec right now, and we send our sympathy to the family. The Honourable Member for Richmond North Athabasca. Mr. Speaker, these are facts. This child had a family, and we need to fight, Mr. Speaker. We are talking about our people. We're talking about people in my riding of Richmond North Athabasca. Use of the food bank has gone up. People created an organization to put food in our kids' lunch boxes. What are the Liberals going to do to help our people eat and feed our children? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary of State for Children and Youth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's clear that we have a national food program for schools to help kids and to help Canadians meet their challenges. What I have to say is that you'll have the opportunity to support the budget for that program, and I would encourage all members to support the National Food School Program. The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, food banks in Canada have reported a record number of 2.2 million visits in just 1 month. The CEO of Food Banks Canada said, and I quote, "Poverty and hunger have been normalized in Canada. People are stopping at food banks on their way home from work instead of going to the grocery store. Inflationary deficits are increasing the cost of food. Why does the Prime Minister continue to spend more without worrying about people who have nothing to eat?" The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Mr. Speaker, I'm always surprised to hear these questions from a party that was ready to sacrifice all kinds of programs that Quebecers and Canadians depend on every day. If we think, for example, about the Canada Child Benefit, the dental care program, the school food program, and Mr. Speaker, I would invite him to come to my riding, speak to people from the Saint Vincent de Paul, talk to people at the United Way, and tell them that it's just bureaucracy that's never helped anybody. I think they need to reconnect with reality on the other side of the House. The Honourable Member for Bourassa. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Our government has always been there to help our...
All right, guys. It's just a B and C team now. It's all freaking over. No one else of... I don't know how else to say it, of significance should be talking. Pierre left, a bunch of the main Conservatives left. I'm still on vacay, so I'm going to end the stream now. This is, we're just going in circles, right? Once you get past, 3/4 mark of question period, they just give you an opportunity for the backbenchers to talk, and that's what's going on right now. So trust me, you're not missing anything. That's the video. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys same time tomorrow for another stream. Enjoy the rest of your day.